What could be that sensitive content that they're referring to? What could be that sensitive content that they're referring to? So let's jump right in. This is me if I was President Trump, knowing that my name was in the Epstein files. I would sit alone where the flickering desk lamp will cast long shadows across stacks of legal briefs. And my heart will be pounding as I reread the brief summary that AG Pam Bondi notified me in May that my name appeared multiple times in the Epstein files. Now, don't forget some of Trump's recent acts on national TV in June and July states that there could be some implication of wrongdoing. But nonetheless, I'm President Trump, and I have no explanation. I have no qualifiers. It's stark, it's real, and it's explosive. I feel the very air tighten because if those files, hundreds of gigabytes of documents, include flight logs, contact books, and deeply sensitive material, if they could include more than just social ties, what then? I thought being named in a file was just procedural, an association, no less. Everyone knows that I was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Everyone knows that I'm an associate with Jeffrey Epstein. But what could this mean? But what if some of those files allege illegal activity with minors? So I close my eyes. The question's hammering. What if raw victim testimony ties my name to actions beyond mere presence? What if graphic evidence exists, images or videos now sealed under privacy laws? What if the DOJ knew but delayed release to protect my reputation? The silence in the room is deafening. I feel trapped by what could be true. The name appearance isn't admission, but public imagination will fill the gap. The political storm will erupt by invitations only. And those files contain allegations, rumors, unverified hearsay referencing hundreds of high-profile individuals. And if those allegations involve children, no matter how twisted or false, they're irreversible. The public, the media, the opposition, they won't wait for nuance. So I start to pace. I envision the headlines. Trump in the Epstein files, graphic allegations of child abuse surface. The most heinous things that people can think of, they would think about me and all the decisions that I made as president and before I was president. My legacy will be tarnished. Grand jury records to Galveston Maxwell may reveal Trump's role. So I anticipate the legal hustle, emergency letters, damage control. Are there non-disclosure arguments, friendships to call on? Allies in Congress do I have? But it's gone way beyond politics. It's about exposure, vulnerability, more reckoning. So if this is true, if even a shred of credible evidence exists, I'm finished. I feel the weight of the unknown. Once the files are public or forced out, they enter the public domain and all trust will erode from my inner circle. Even supporters will question motives, cover up. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Steve Bannon, will they turn their back on me as they have before? Allegations spin out of control. This isn't about politics anymore. This is about my survival, my legal, reputational, and personal. If what becomes reality, criminal exposure, civil lawsuits, political implosion, institutional backlash, and public outcry, and of course, my legacy destroyed. So according to the multiple news reports, fam, that we've been seeing, Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche informed President Trump in May that his name appeared multiple times in the Epstein investigation documents viewed by the DOJ and FBI, and many individuals were included. Mentions, not evidence of wrongdoing, but highly damaging in public perception. The files contain material that the DOJ cited as reasons not to release further documents because of child pornography, victim identity, and graphic content. So who are in the files and what they have been doing? That is what the public wants to know. So President Trump, according to the AG, Pam Bondi, that his name was in the Epstein files in May. Then we have reports of President Trump publicly stating, we're still talking about Epstein, that creep. This creep has been a known associate and friend of yours from quite some times. And there's multiple times that your name appeared in the report. Now, that doesn't implement, there's no evidence, supposedly, of any wrongdoing, supposedly. But then again, there is evidence, like Feinstein Maxwell is in prison for 20 years for child trafficking that was directly linked to Jeffrey Epstein. So again, why aren't they releasing the files? Don't forget that they passed a vote. The GOP and the liberals both agreed that the Epstein files should be subpoenaed. So now they're about to subpoena the files, but that doesn't mean that's going to be released to the public. That doesn't mean that another faction of our government is going to be privy to the information in the Epstein files. And we're waiting for it because the more factions within our government that have access to these Epstein files is a better chance of it being leaked to the public. WikiLeaks, somebody need to release these files, authenticate them, verify them, but release the official files of Epstein. Now, granted, some people will state that President Trump is as guilty by association, but nobody really knows what's in the Epstein files except the government officials. And this is just what if Trump is named and he's implicated in crimes against children? What if this is true, if Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files and they include evidence of illegal activity involving children, what happened next is seismic, not just political, but morally, legally, and historically. Because again, as I told you, he was told this information in May by Attorney General Pam Bondi and her deputy, Todd Blanche, that explicitly informed Trump that his name appeared multiple times in internal DOJ files on Jeffrey Epstein. And we're not talking about hearsay. They briefed him, but they also concluded it wasn't sufficient to pursue further actions, or they say that they isn't. If there's evidence that Trump was knowingly involved in or witnessed illegal activity with minors that plunges us into criminal territory, possibly federal investigations, charges of child endangerment, trafficking, or even conspiracy, then I'm going to bring you back full circle. What are you going to do about Obama if his allegations that he collude to trump up evidence to state that President Trump was colluding with Russia to win the 2016 election against Hillary Clinton? What if the allegations are true that President Obama tried to start a coup and trump up false evidence and records that President Trump was colluding with Russia to take over the 2016 election? And then he wanted to overthrow President Trump so Hillary Clinton can be in place. All of them should be incarcerated if all of these so-called allegations or the remnants and rhetoric is true. All of them. As a matter of fact, put President Trump and President Obama right beside each other. And this is why right here on Black Logic, ladies and gentlemen, you should never pick a side. You should always pick the truth. Yeah, I can like some of the things that President Trump is doing. I like some of the things that President Obama was doing. When it comes to the people, people should always be over the government, even though people are in the government. But once they get in these high places and these high offices, I feel as though that the majority of them are contaminated by power. I believe they are somehow coerced of wrongdoings. They are forced to compromise themselves and their beliefs. We need to eradicate corruption from our government at the highest level. And if any of these so-called allegations or the lack thereof evidence, but there is evidence, then whoever's involved in these files, for the victims, for the American people, for the children, should be incarcerated. And they should be prosecuted at the highest extent of the law. And I think that's the most daunting thing. So tonight at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, there will be no Trump bros, because Obama did it in 2011 and Biden did it in 2024, but there would be no Trump roast. But nonetheless, AG alerted Trump his name appeared in the Epstein files. They alerted him that his name is in the Epstein files. And let me tell you this, the public fallout will be monumental and his legacy destroyed because his political base will be absolutely fractured. The mega crowd, I don't know what they would name it. Make America legal again. Mala. That don't sound right. There's not a good ring to it. But his legacy, irrevocable stain. He will be stained forever. He's already the most well-known man in the world. And every previous denial that Trump has made, every previous denial and defamation lawsuit he filed against media outlets will crumble under the weight of credibility. Trump may be broke after this if this is true. Do I want this to be true? Absolutely not. Not because of President Trump, because of the victims. I hope that President Trump is not a part of the despicable acts that Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and even Trump himself could have been a part of. Now, don't forget Maxwell, he's going to be in jail for the next 20 years. And they stated while he was being questioned that he answered every question that they had. But I really want you guys to think about this, because if transcripts or grand jury remarks tie him to abuse or exploitation of men or women, and especially children, history won't forget this. Because when we speak about the legality of things, the DOJ's refusal to release more files due to the presence of sensitive content, including child pornography material and victim data, is now suspect. They said they won't reveal anything more, citing victims' privacy. But critics argue that the shields powerful people, including Trump, from scrutiny. Political House committees are subpoenaing records from the DOJ as we speak. I just reported on this yesterday. And Ghislaine Maxwell for testimony, and bipartisan support is brewing to force transparency, with lawmakers citing the fact that Trump's name surfaced in the files multiple times. And if there is any sort of graphic evidence, audio, video, or firsthand allegations, believe me that this shark whale will echo across every major institution. I'm talking about resignation, even impeachments, not just of Trump, but possibility of AG Bondi, FBI official Kash Patel, who blocked the release. Anyone complicit. What do we do now? We demand full release. Victims redacted, but names and stick figures revealed. Public pressure must become relentless. Every media outlet, every oversight body must demand answers. Trump denials are now hollow echoes. Fake news, he says. I didn't do anything. But Bondi actually told him that his name was in the files. He could have ignored it. The question now is, did he lie about the scale of his relationship with Epstein? Did he cover up any involvement? If authorities found irrefutable proof that the consequences are unthinkable, not just for Trump, but for the institutions that enable the silence, we'll need accountability at every level, would we not? Watch this space right here on Black Logic, because if Trump's presence in the Epstein files include illegal child-related activity, the system won't survive as it is today. And this is the reason why I believe that they are trying to prevent the files to be released, because there's something damaging to the U.S. government. Now, even though Trump is the hottest topic right now, that his name, but it could be other powerful, influential, political, billionaire businessmen in these files that will not only fracture American business, not only fracture the American economy, not only fracture the American government, but it will cut the head off the snake. This will rock America if we have well-known, well-to-do people in these files dealing with illegal child activity. There's a strong possibility, ladies and gentlemen. I just reported on this yesterday. And again, this has resurfaced because, again, the public, you and I, we want to know the truth. Why? What is this going to prove? This is going to prove that we have very demonic people in our government, that we have very demonic people that have been involved with explicit exploitation of children and other innocent people. And they don't want to release the victim names, redact the victims, but the perpetrators, the victims accused, they are not innocent. They are not victims. Everything can't be fake news. Everything cannot be a lie. Now, Cash Patel stated that in these files, there's nothing that we want. He stated that on a Joe Rogan podcast, that there's nothing that we want. Well, if the president named, and I grant, don't get me wrong, family. Don't get me wrong, folks. Of course, his name was in the Epstein files. He was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. On multiple occasions, they've been seen together. Either Jeffrey Epstein going to the Trump Towers or them at banquets and parties and get-togethers and events and functions. They've been seen multiple times together. They are well-known associates, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody know that they are associates. Everybody know that they are connected. But that doesn't mean that President Trump did anything egregious, did anything illegal, did anything illegal activity with children, unless we have evidence to prove it. So I'm not hanging out President Obama. I'm not hanging out President Trump. But I can tell you one thing. You can only hide in the dark for so long until the truth comes out.